welcome again to AA Home Garden. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for all my subscribers and anyone that's new that like my content and don't mind subscribing. That will lovely. So we're in the month of December, okay? There's not a lot we can plant directly outside without any covering because, you know, we start having frost and things like that. So even if they can go outside, they need to be started indoor under some cover to speed up the germination. Otherwise it's going to take forever outside. So things like your lamb's lettuce, even if you haven't sown them yet, it's best to start them indoor, and then when they sprout and the true leaves come through, then you can put them outside. So we'll be looking at some of the things that can still go outside but is best germinated inside first, and some of the things we're sowing only for indoor at the moment. So we're going to start with our herb garden. We're in December, and December is a month that is ideal for your herb garden inside, in your kitchen or wherever you have it indoor. So behind me I have some lovely broadleaf thyme, I have basil, I have sage, and the smell of those in your kitchen, wow. So if you haven't got your herbs started yet, go ahead. There's so much herbs. So we're going to be looking at the famous oregano. This is one of the probably most popular one. You can sow all through the year indoor. You can harvest all through the year. So if you haven't got your oregano, start it now. My broadleaf thyme is one type of oregano, and I also have the small tiny leaf one downstairs as well. So start your herb indoor. So this is your oregano, and it's so nice when you have your fresh herb compared to when you buy them in the supermarket. It's so much stronger. So start planting your herb today, okay? Then you have things like your chives, okay? So any herbs that you like cooking with, it's time to start planting those, okay? So this is your chives, and these give the most beautiful purple blossom in the summer. The bees love it. So even if you don't like chives, just plant it for the bees, because it will bloom in spring, summer, and it's a purple blossom, and the smell is magnificent. So you can have best of both worlds. You can use it as a herb, or you can use it to attract bees to your garden. So that's your chives, okay? So this is not an exhausted list. This is just some of the seeds that I have at the moment. So I'm going through, and the one that I've planted. So you have your coriander. This is another popular herb. So this is well, you can sow all year indoor, and so you're not too late for any of these herbs. We are in December, but we can still be planting things, okay? So you have your oregano so far and your chives. And then with coriander, it's best to plant it in a cooler season. It doesn't like when it's too hot. I've experienced that myself. I planted in the summer, and I probably got one harvest out of it because it just bolted so quickly. So it's best to plant it in the cooler season. All of these, if you have any space on your window sill, just get those containers, put it in, and it will grow there lovely. Okay, so we have other things like basil or thyme, or even rosemary can grow indoor in the winter period. So there's a lot of things. So just think of the herbs that you like to cook with, and then you can grow them inside as well. Then also last month we look at our winter gem lettuce. This it can still grow, but because we already started getting frost, I wouldn't advise to sow it directly outside. So I will grow it, I will sow it inside, and then as soon as it germinates and the true leaves come through, it will survive the weather outside. But the reason for starting it inside is to speed up the germination rate, because the soil outside is pretty cold now. We have a couple nights of frost, okay? So this is your winter gem lettuce. So this you can still plant even though we're in December, okay? So same with our Miner's lettuce or Claytonia, which is Miner's lettuce. This one they normally plant it by the latest November thereabout, but if you're starting it indoor, So to speed up the germination rate, it still can transfer it outdoor afterward when you get the seeding coming through. Okay, so if you haven't planted your mayonnaise lettuce, it's very rich in iron and calcium and all those things. So you can germinate this indoor and then you can transplant it outdoor in winter. Okay, so that's your Claytonia or your mayonnaise lettuce. So then you have your collards. So collards are in Nebraska's family, like your kale and your cauliflowers and things like that. So this one as well, if you haven't got the seeding started already, I will put these indoor to germinate, and these will survive outside, but they need to germinate indoor now because it's really, really cold outside. So that's your collards. So basically just like a cabbage without any head. So just cabbage leaf, but there's no head to it, and it's quite nutritious. Okay, so you can start those, you can sow those indoors to transplant outside as soon as they're sprouted. So that is your collards green can go outside afterwards, your gem lettuce can go outside, and your mayonnaise lettuce can go outside after to have been germinated indoors. But if you have space indoor in a greenhouse or a polytunnel, you don't need to plant them outside. They can stay in an unheated greenhouse all through the season. Okay, then you have your corn salad that I've mentioned the last 2 months. You still can plant those, but now that is in December, my advice as well is to let it germinate indoors and then transplant outside. Okay, so that's your corn salad. And I did I think I did a garden tour of the polytunnel 2 weeks ago. So mine coming up, it's quite tiny at the moment, but it's actually germinating and it's looking like I'm going to get some harvest soon. Then also your giant spinach. Okay, so giant winter spinach, these are crop that love the cooler season. Okay, so I mentioned the winter gem lettuce, giant spinach, winter spinach, your collards and things like that. They love the cooler season. But if you missed the window of November when I was mentioning all these things to plant directly outside, you just need to sow them indoor, get them a head start, then put them outside. Okay, then you still have your Swiss chard. I have 3 different stages of Swiss chard growing. You know, the weather doesn't bother them, they just grow. Okay, so they just grow on. So just as previous, you can still sow them, then transplant them outside. Okay, so that's your Swiss chard. Then I have the all year round cauliflower. Mine is growing lovely. So then again, you still can sow these things. So there's a lot of things that still can sow now, even though we're in December. Okay, then I spoke about some new radishes that I discovered recently. So it was a French breakfast and the muncher that I mentioned in last month's video. I've planted both of them out now because they germinate beautifully. So I'll be doing some video in the coming weeks to show what they look like. So you can still go ahead and plant those radishes. So those were the unique one that were called French breakfast or munchner. So the munchner and the French breakfast, these are specific radishes for the cooler season. Both of these are growing inside my polytunnel at the moment. They're not outside. The only radish that is outside is some that was planted in late summer and they're still outside, and I can see radishes, but I haven't sown any since October outside. They've been inside the polytunnel. Okay, then famous dinosaur kale, you can still sow those indoors, get them a head start, then you go outside. So in the December month, I will focus on the herbs. Plant the herbs indoor. Your dill, your coriander, your sage, all those things, basil, all those things. Plant those indoors so you can have your fresh veg throughout the winter season. Anything else like the winter things that I've mentioned, I will start those indoors. If you want to put them outside, let them come to a little seeding with all the true leaves, everything, then transplant them outside. Or if you have a greenhouse or a polytunnel, that's fine, that's perfect. sow them, let them stay, grow on, harvest straight through until spring. Okay, so December, the focus should be your herb garden, but you still can sow things and you still can plant things outside after they're germinated, because the soil outside is cold at the moment. But if you have a hoop house or you have some covering outside, then yes, you can go ahead and sow the seed outside as well. Okay, so that's for December. So thanks for watching, thanks for viewing. Until next time, keep planting. Take care now. Bye bye.
Like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell.